I mean, that's a great fight. Shakur is a hell of a talent. I don't think that he's Devin at all. But we'll see. We hear a lot of, the media and jumping in the ring. Like Devin always says, you got to put some substance with it and talk to the right people and do the right things and do it the right way, and let's make it happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that he's ready. My guy is ready. These guys don't want to do it, you know what I mean? And then when I said that they say everything except let's fight, that same phrase that we coined on Champ Side Boxing, it's standing to be even more true.
The jab, it starts with the jab. You can't allow Shakur to control the center of the ring, with his jab and even with his great ability to control range. Okay. You got to try to stabilize him. And the jab is the best stabilizer in boxing.
Teddy Atlas advises Devin Haney that the key to beating Shakur Stevenson is controlling the fight with a disciplined, consistent jab to disrupt Shakur's rhythm. He emphasizes that winning the lead hand battle would limit Shakur's timing and force him out of his comfort zone.
To be honest with you, Shakur, he's another one who has a very good jab, a good sense of distance and range, good lateral movement, and etc. I think it would take someone that has a similar level of athleticism, as well as punch selection, when it comes to competing against Shakur.
Gary Russell Jr. says beating Shakur means matching his athleticism and being smart with punch selection so you can take away his distance control and movement instead of chasing him.
I don't think Shakur really has that devastating pop either. He's just a little more educated than...
He also points out that Shakur's edge is more about skill and ring education than raw knockout power, which changes how a smart opponent should approach him.
When Shakur fights, sometimes he does jump back and skip back a lot, but it still comes off as though that he's still in control of the essence of the ring and etc. You got to break his control.
Gary Russell Jr. breaks down what makes Shakur so difficult, but he also hands Devin Haney a clear blueprint: match his athleticism, be smarter with punch selection, and use a strong, consistent jab to disrupt Shakur's rhythm and break his control of the ring.
And when I say jab, I don't mean it has to be to the head. It could be to the chest. Maybe it should be to the chest, just to stabilize, just to keep him from making it too easy to do what he wants.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, pick spots for the body. Pick spots for the body and feints. I mean, the art of feigning is almost lost.
Yeah.
You got to feint. You're fighting a counter puncher like this, you got to make them make premature moves.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is by using a feint.
Teddy Atlas makes it even more practical for Haney, saying the jab should work as a control tool and be mixed with body touches and sharp feints to freeze Shakur, trigger early reactions, and stop him from settling into his counter-punching rhythm.
He's on the path to becoming a very significant champion. Is that fair? Because, beating Kambosos twice hasn't, put him quite there yet. We're all works in progress for the most part. And he's a work in progress still. He's still developing. He just got the title.
Teddy Atlas is saying Haney has the talent and the title, but now the real test is the next step, turning that talent into greater things by leveling up through the process against elite opposition. He's framing it like a long road where each big fight is a checkpoint that either confirms your growth or exposes what's missing. In his eyes, being champion is the entry ticket, but becoming a truly significant champion comes from proving it again and again under pressure.
And that's what I'm looking for such a talented kid like Haney. And he seems like a good kid too. I'm looking for greater things. And it's a journey, it's a road, it's a path, and it's a process. And He got the title.
Atlas frames Haney as a fighter with the talent and the title already in place, but now facing the real test of turning that potential into greater things against elite opposition. He's describing a long climb where winning a belt is only one milestone, not the finish line. The expectations change once you're champion, because now you're judged by the level of competition and how you solve different styles in the ring. And in that journey, fights like Shakur are the ones that show whether Haney is simply carrying a title or evolving into a defining champion, where potential must translate into statement performances against the very best.
Normally he stands on the outside, you know, he controls range, he puts pretty combinations together. Not the hardest punches in the world, but nice sharpshooting combinations. He uses his height and reach really well. He's a pretty boxer.
Teddy paints Haney as a pure boxer who does his best work from the outside, where he can control the distance and keep the fight at his pace. He highlights how Haney uses range as a weapon, staying just far enough to see everything coming while still being close enough to score. Instead of relying on one-punch power, Haney strings together clean, sharp combinations that rack up points and break rhythm. The emphasis is on precision and timing, not brute force. Atlas also notes how well Haney uses his height and reach to steer exchanges and reset the action when he wants. Overall, it's a style built on control, structure, and boxing IQ, the kind of foundation that matters a lot when you are talking about facing someone as tricky as Shakur.
To show that Mr. Haney is here.
Atlas then shifts the focus to the problem in front of Haney, because Shakur brings a level of athleticism that changes the whole chess match. He's not just quick, he's smooth in and out, and he can reset angles before you even finish your combination. That athletic base makes his defense harder to touch, and his counters arrive cleaner. It also means he can win small moments, a half step here, a slight pivot there, and those moments add up round by round. Against a fighter like that, you cannot rely only on looking sharp from range. You need a plan that forces Shakur to work, makes him uncomfortable, and stops him from turning the ring into his own controlled space.
Loma of 4 years ago probably would have separated himself a little more in this fight than he was able to do here. But again, you can only fight the fight when the fight is fought. And that's when the fight was fought a couple days ago. And they both put it all out there. All out there. And I will say this too. I had questions about Haney, as I have questions about a lot of the top undefeated fighters that haven't quite been tested yet. You see their talent.
Teddy takes it a step deeper and explains why Shakur is such a nightmare to deal with, because his real superpower is distance control. He makes opponents feel like they are always just a little too far to land clean, and the moment they step in, he is already sliding out. That movement is not just running, it is measured, smart footwork that keeps him in the safest position while still ready to fire back. He creates a gap when you try to close one, then punishes you for reaching. Over time, that range control lets him dictate who gets to punch and when, which is basically being the boss of the ring. So if Haney wants any real success, he has to find a way to disrupt that spacing and stop Shakur from setting the distance on every exchange.
Me and Devin, we came up together like in the amateurs. I used to go to his house down in Vegas. He used to live in like a big mansion, and I was kind of like, I was like a broke young from the trenches at the time. But when I seen like the way he was living, that shit kind of motivated me, and it made me want to like work harder and get to that kind of status. But he really like it was his dad money at that time though.
So his dad, yeah. So what exactly did his dad do to have that much money?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I know that was rich though. But like I said, through the amateurs, we always was like one weight class apart, and he was a good fighter. I don't take nothing away from him. I think he's one of the best in the business, and I am too, but I think I'm a better fighter.
Shakur then adds a personal layer to the rivalry, reminding everyone that this is not some random matchup. They have real history from the amateurs. He talks about being around Devin early, even going to his place in Vegas, and how seeing that lifestyle pushed him to grind harder. He also makes it clear that Devin had advantages at the time, pointing to the resources behind him, which makes the comparison feel even more loaded. He gives Devin his respect and calls him one of the best, so it does not sound like blind hate. But then he flips it into a bold claim that instantly turns the temperature up. By saying he is the better fighter, Shakur is basically inviting the controversy and implying that when they finally meet, he is going to prove it in the ring.
It'll be like a chess match. you know, and everything. You gotta have one than the other. You gotta have like a Jordan Hitchison. You're gonna have something like that. You gotta have something like that. You know?
Yeah.
That will be. That's what you gotta have when it comes to boxing. Or else you're just gonna waste your money. You know? That's the truth.
Speaking about a potential Shakur versus Haney clash, Ryan Garcia's father frames it as the kind of fight that has to unfold like a real chess match between two smart, technical boxers. He's stressing that both guys would need layers, setups, and adjustments, not just one main weapon. In a matchup this tight, trying the same look over and over would get figured out fast. The edge would come from who can switch plans mid-round and keep creating new problems. It sets the expectation for a battle of brains as much as hands. And he is basically saying if neither man brings that full toolkit, the fight risks turning into something fans feel was not worth the money.
And man, like there's very like few fighters that are that elite. Shakur being one of them. He's just that good. He's just that good. I've seen them train. I've trained with the guy. Like he trains in the same gym in Top Rank, and man, I see the type of training that they're doing. They're very interested in their training methods.
Blair Cobbs puts Shakur in that rare elite of the elite bracket, speaking like someone who has actually seen the difference up close. Because he trains around the top-ranked gym environment, he is not judging Shakur off highlights. He is judging him off daily work. He emphasizes how serious Shakur's camp is about the details, especially training methods and the way they build skills on purpose. The point he is making is that Shakur's greatness is not accidental. It is engineered in the gym. That kind of structure usually shows up on fight night when the rounds get tricky, and it adds more weight to the idea that anyone trying to beat Shakur needs more than talent. They need a real system.
Devin Haney is a bit taller now. He has a little bit of strength on him. Like if you get caught with him, like and caught sleeping at the wheel, yeah, he'll catch you. You know what I mean, with something that hurts a little bit, you know, and he's great at piling on rounds and getting those rounds.
Then Cobbs shifts to Haney and notes the physical change, saying Devin looks bigger, taller, and stronger than before. He frames Haney as dangerous if you switch off for even a second, because he can catch you with something that makes you respect him. But the bigger compliment is how Haney wins fights, by stacking rounds with steady work and control. He is basically describing Haney as a points machine who builds a lead and keeps adding to it. That's why this matchup stays so interesting. Shakur's elite structure and control versus Haney's round-by-round pressure and consistency. And if they ever share the ring, the smallest lapse in focus could swing the entire fight. Shakur is going to beat him. Cobbs comes in with that blunt confidence, basically treating the result like it is already written. He is not dressing it up with maybes. He is saying Shakur's skill set is simply a bad matchup for the other guy. The tone is less predictive and more certain, like he has seen enough in real life to trust what his eyes tell him. It keeps the momentum moving because it frames Shakur as the standard, not the underdog. And it sets up the next point, which is not about if Shakur wins, but how he wins. He is basically telling fans not to overthink it, because technique and control usually beat chaos. And the way he says it makes the whole debate feel settled before the first bell even rings.
It wouldn't be that down.
No, it'll be a lot closer.
I don't know if it'll be a lot closer, but I mean, when I say a lot closer, like I don't know, Devin wouldn't get picked apart like how Tio did. Yeah. Shakur will probably still pull out an obvious decision, but I don't think Devin will get picked apart the way Tio did.
Then Cobbs adds a reality check on the level of dominance, saying it would not look like a one-sided dismantling. He suggests Shakur would still get the obvious decision, but the opponent would not get broken down the way Teofimo did to him. That matters because it separates winning from humiliating, and Cobbs is betting on a more competitive fight than people expect. He is basically saying the other guy has enough to survive and make it rounds, even if he cannot flip the final outcome. So the expectation becomes a clear Shakur win, but with resistance, not a total wipeout. In other words, Shakur controls it, but he has to earn it, not just walk through him. And if the opponent stays disciplined, it could look close in moments, even if the scorecards do not. After all the talk about matchups and predictions, the focus shifts back to Shakur putting the work in, already back in camp after his win over Teo. Instead of slowing down, he looks locked into sharpening the same fundamentals that carried him through that performance. The training is about tightening control, refining timing, and staying a step ahead mentally as much as physically. It shows a fighter who treats victories like checkpoints, not finish lines. There is a sense that he is building on momentum rather than celebrating it, and that mindset keeps the narrative moving toward what comes next, not what he just accomplished. It also signals that he is preparing for even bigger challenges rather than settling after one statement win. On the other side, Devin Haney is also deep in training, matching that urgency and staying locked into his own preparation. The focus around his camp looks centered on sharpening the jab, tightening defense, and staying disciplined with distance control. He is working like a fighter who knows the next fight could define where he stands among the elite. There is no sense of waiting around, just steady refinement and repetition. It reflects a mindset of proving growth rather than talking about it. And with both men grinding at the same time, it builds the feeling that a collision between them is only getting closer, not further away.
This fight now is even more juicy than it was the first time around when they were talking about it. When they were talking about it the first time around, Haney was red hot as undisputed lightweight champion, and Shakur was the boogeyman who was very good, but was having trouble locking in those big
insider
games.
boogeyman.
Right. I gotta be honest, man. Like this could, if this happens right now, this is the right timing too, because both are at a good moment in their careers.
Very high.
It's actually,
and there's a title on the line.
It's actually simmered better than it had back then. And back then it was really something that you wanted to see. But now, because of Shakur's recent performance and Haney still being undefeated and having righted the ship, winning as an underdog against Brian Norman, I rate that. I rate when you take on a fight as an underdog and you win it. I rate that. You know, that's why.
Paulie Malignaggi frames the moment as everything has finally lined up for this fight to make real sense now. Both fighters have built their resumes, sharpened their identities, and reached a stage where the matchup feels earned rather than rushed. It is not about hype anymore. It is about timing and relevance in the division. He sees two technicians peaking in parallel, which is usually when the best rivalries happen. The styles contrast just enough to make it compelling without feeling one-sided on paper. There is also a sense that waiting longer could dull the urgency fans feel right now. In his view, this is the kind of fight that belongs in the present, not pushed off into some uncertain future.
I feel like, Shakur knows that he's naturally a smaller guy and he wants to, keep it an even playing field. I mean, what fighter doesn't want to do that? I mean, you could be like, F it and, grab your nuts like Bud and be like, I don't need no rehydration clause. I'm a better fighter than you. Simple as that. But I don't feel like there's anything wrong with Shakur doing that. Everybody is not gonna do what Bud does. Bud is his own fighter. That's what he decided to do, and he got a big reward from that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no excuses and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you don't care about the excuses, it is what it is. You know what I mean? If the opponent agrees to the stipulation, the fight is on. Now you can't.
Shu frames the situation from a practical fighter's mindset, pointing out that leveling the playing field is part of smart matchmaking. He suggests Shakur is thinking strategically, not emotionally, by trying to remove any natural disadvantages before stepping into a big fight. In his view, every fighter approaches risk differently, and there is no single right way to prove confidence. Some choose to take everything head on, others prefer controlled terms, and both paths exist in boxing. The key point he makes is that once both sides agree, the debate fades and the focus shifts to performance. It turns the conversation away from pride and toward professionalism. And ultimately, he treats it as business first, where decisions are judged by results inside the ring, not the noise outside it. This is why the Haney versus Shakur conversation will not go away. One side says the timing is perfect, and both guys are in full camp mode, while the other side is already arguing about terms, size, and what fair really looks like. Add in Shakur publicly saying he is the better fighter, and it stops being friendly history and turns into a real rivalry with something to prove. And when the styles get matched up, it shapes into a high-level chess match where the whole fight can swing on who breaks control first. If Haney establishes a hard jab and stops Shakur from freely setting the range, the rounds get tight and competitive. If Shakur wins the distance battle early and keeps Haney reaching, it can turn into one of those clear decision-type fights where the scorecards slowly drift his way. Either way, this is not a fight built on knockout power. It is built on control, timing, and patience. The small moments will decide it. Who wins the lead hand? Who wins the foot positioning? Who steals the close rounds? That is why fans are split, because both guys have tools that can cancel the other out. And that is why the longer it gets delayed, the louder the demand gets, because this matchup feels like it belongs in the ring, not on social media. What do you think? What matters more in this matchup? Haney's ability to stack rounds with his jab, or Shakur's ability to erase offense with distance and counters? Do rehydration clauses and stipulations change how you judge the winner? Or once both sign, it is no excuses. If this fight happens, who do you think has the better plan B when the first game plan stops working? And do you see this as a close technical fight, or a fight where one guy makes it look simple on the cards? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.